Greetings from the Yale Child Study Center. I'm Jim Leckman, and I'm honored to be with you today to invite you to attend our Neuroscience of Empathy conference coming up next week in Rome. It's going to be next Wednesday and Thursday, and I hope you're able to join us. My colleagues and I will focus on the importance of empathy and conflict resolution and peace building. I'd like to begin by offering a special thanks to Ernesto Caffo and his team at Foundation Child, as well as Haifa Strati and Professor Simon Baron-Cohen, who founded just a couple of years ago the NGO in Toronto entitled Empathy for Peace. So I'd like to offer a few perspectives before I provide a bit of detail about the meeting that's coming up next week in Rome. I'd like to offer you in particular quotes from Mahatma Gandhi and from Nelson Mandela. One of the quotations I love the most from Mahatma Gandhi is, "If we are to teach real peace in the world, if we are to carry on a real war against war, we shall have to begin with the children, and you must be the change you hope to see in the world." And then Nelson Mandela, "There can be no keener revelation of a society's soul than the way it treats its children. And education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world." During the conference, we will learn about the latest advances in our understanding of empathy viewed from a neuroscience perspective. Indeed, what is happening in our brains when we connect in a fundamental way with how another person is feeling? I'm also very much looking forward to reconnecting with our friends and colleagues in Israel and Palestine, all of whom have been actively involved in efforts to resolve that ongoing and dreadful conflict. In particular, I'm very grateful that a number of our colleagues associated with the NGO Empowerment and Resilience for Children Everywhere, or ERICHE, will be joining us in Rome as well. And this is something that they gave me just a couple of years ago, and basically with Dr. Caffo, what we've been doing is trying to find ways to bring people together to work on behalf of their children with joint projects that will move forward a deeper understanding and empathy for the other if we work together to benefit the children of both communities. And in my presentation, I'm going to be focusing on the enduring impact of what it means in terms of how we were raised. And as we move forward in our scientific discoveries, it's remarkable how important what happens early in development with regard to our brains and our bodies, and how big a difference that can make in terms of the long-term outcomes. It's not set in stone. Many children show resilience, but if you're raised by somebody who is harsh in the way in which they treat you, or not very understanding, is not very attuned to what your needs are, isn't responsive and sensitive, you may have some vulnerabilities later on, and you may end up parenting your children in a way that would be similar to how you were parented as a child as well. We're doing projects across the globe that I'll be talking about, but in particular I'm going to be talking about a theory of change that we need to bring to the attention of policymakers and government officials, the fact that if we invest in early child development, we can actually make a difference in this world and potentially promote peace. And this goes back to some of the work that we've been doing, and this is a book that I helped to edit a few years ago, Pathways to Peace, the Transformative Power of Children and Families. But this was just the beginning. If we look at what has recently come out with regard to the Lancet series in early child development, we find that nurturing care can make a huge difference, not only in terms of our mental, social, emotional capacities, but also our physical health. We also know that nurturing care can make a difference and has a clear cost benefit. And nurturing care is made up of several components that ensure the safety and well-being of the child, responsive parenting, as well as adequate nutrition. So I'll be covering this theory of change, and I would be very grateful if you were willing to look into this in more detail and help convince the people that are close to you and those policymakers that you're aware of to be aware of what needs to happen and for this world to be a better place. So please join me and I will be bringing copies of this, and I'd be glad to send this along as well. And this is basically a brief that we've prepared for the Early Childhood Peace Consortium that basically goes through what the impact is and what the theory of change is, that if we can actually make a difference in terms of how we raise our children, why this will be a less violent and a more peaceful world. And so let me end by just saying, please join us in Rome next week. Thanks again to Haifa and Ernesto Caffo, as well as Simon Baron-Cohen, and to our colleagues from Israel and Palestine who have made the journey here. And for the sake of our children and our grandchildren, let us work together to build a more peaceful world. Thank you.